The silence speaks. Are there people in your family or amongst your friends with whom you think you could improve your communication and relationship with? Two, I sometimes meet married couples and they tell me, oh, our relationship is quite all right. We are civil to each other. Oh, compared to those people, we at least still talk. My friend Krishnan has this wonderful way of saying this. She says, you go to a restaurant and there are a man and a woman sitting down next to each other, opposite each other. If they are talking a lot to each other, they are not married. If you find them talking a lot to each other, then they are definitely not married. Have you seen that in some restaurants? Nowadays it's gotten much nicer, My wife and me were at a restaurant recently. Next table we saw another couple sitting. For about 90% of the time, both were on their cell phones. My wife and me, when we are going out anywhere together, we leave our phone at home. Because the only important person in my life whose call I have to answer is my wife. Manmohan Singh can wait. Okay? Once it got into such trouble, one of my colleagues, he called me up, got no response. He called my wife up. No response. He called our landline up, no response. He got worried. We came back, we looked at both our phones, missed calls from this guy. We got worried. We thought something's happened, in his family or things of that sort. So I called him back and I said, Balu, what happened? No, sir. I said, look, do I have the right to leave my cell phone at home? So, is there a way you could improve your relationship and communication with your wife and husband? After a communication with your wife or your husband, there can be two kinds of reverberations, right? One could be a nice, pleasant reverberation that lingers on. And there could be another reverberation that you wish would stop. Have you experienced both in your life? I have. I'm married. Okay? I definitely have. Is that true with your children also? Sometimes there's a family dinner evening and nobody is talking. And everybody is talking about that nobody wants to talk about. The only difference is everybody is silent about it. And everybody knows that that's what other person wants to talk about. So, is there ways you can improve? Hello, yes, no? Yes. Yeah, because see, the first step in all of this, is, have you heard about this thing called the compass? Okay, we all say there are 4 points to the compass, north, south, east, west. But there is the fifth point to the compass, which is the most important point in the compass, is to know where you are. If you were left with a compass and you have been living your life in Bangalore, okay, and you were told Delhi is to the north, and we dropped you by parachute into some place that was norther than Delhi. And then you took your compass and you said, Delhi is to the north. Where would you reach? Forget it, yeah? Forget where would you reach. Unless you know where you are, there's no way you can go anywhere further. It's not that whether where you are is a nice place, it's not whether where you are is a bad place. That's not the point. But once you know where you are, then you can use the compass to go where you want to go. Do some of you work? Hello? Do some of you work? Yes. I did not ask, do some of you have a job? Because there are many people who have a job and don't work. Okay? Now, do you remember your first day at work long ago? You just finished your whatever education, and then you went in for an interview. Even till date, many of us don't know why you got selected. You know, I have my wife's niece. I'm a mentor to her, okay? So she finished some mass communication something, and then she went for her first interview. And then she calls me up, and I can't hear her talking, only crying on the phone. I said, okay, calm down, what happened? What happened? I'll never get a job. Okay, I'll never get a job in my life. Well, okay, great, all right. So I said, good, you got some more interviews lined up? Yeah. 3 days later, she calls me up. She says, that first job, no? They gave me the job. She still doesn't know why. Okay? She got it by default. It just happened. Maybe true for some of you in the room. Okay? Maybe they were hard up at that time. They had to take you on. However, from that time onwards, you did something, went on ahead, did your work. Okay? But when you went into that first job, that first day when you walked into work, I bet there were many of you who said, today I'm now on my own, I'm really going to make a contribution to this company. I'm really going to take all that I've learned and I'm going to put it out there. And I'm sure there were some of you, you may even be embarrassed to acknowledge that today, who actually went in and said, I'm going to make a difference in the world. My time for learning is complete. Now my time for contribution has come. And you walked into that room through those gates, so happy to be able to do something on your own. And now, 10 years later, Friday evenings are the most important days. And earlier in my time, we used to say Monday morning blues. Nowadays, I find there is advance booking. It starts from Sunday evening itself. You know, I have a friend of mine called Vincent. He used to be the head of HR of a large engineering corporation in Chennai. And he used to tell me, he says, you know, Kichu, every year we take these 40, 50 engineering trainees. And they all come in so excited about what they're going to do. What do we as an organization do that in about a year or two, we make them cynical? We let all their energy go away. We make them skeptical, etc., etc., etc. And he says this is the conversation people of us who hire other people have to have with ourselves. What do we do when we are supposedly training them that we take all their energy away from them? Is that true about every organization? No. But is it not true of some organizations? I think the answer is yes. And I was sharing that in one company, and one young guy at the back, he says, Kichu, you're outdated. Nowadays, it doesn't take 2 years, it takes 6 months only. So, the next level where we do communication is at the level of work. At the level of work, how am I doing? Huh? 26 minutes 26 minutes over. Terrific, wonderful, not bad at all. Okay, so I just have to make sure that I am on track. Okay, so are there people in your organization? Could be your colleagues, could be a boss, could be a vendor, could be a client, with whom you would like to improve your communication with. Yes, they're there. Potential is there. Okay. What do you think will happen if you do that? Because you know what? If you have a great day at work, then when you come back home, how will your mood be? Happy. If you have a lousy day at work, okay? And I'm deliberately saying it, I normally don't speak it like this, but I'm just saying it from your perspective. If you had a lousy day at work and you came back home and some family member said something to you and you went at them. Does it happen? Huh? It does? What do people at home say then? Yeah, he's gone mad. What's wrong with him? Or they say, "Arey, maine kya kiya?" You understand some Hindi, most of you? Or I'll translate it. There may be some people who don't. What did I do? And the reverse also happens, isn't it? If you had a bad morning at home, and then you go into work, and some person asks you an innocent question. And if you are the boss, when your back is turned, what do they say about you? You think that's all? Thank you very much. He had a fight at home and she couldn't give it back to their husband or wife, so they are passing the buck on to me. So if you have a good day at work, or if you have a good day at home, and if you have a good day at home, then you might have a good day at work. And then if you have a good day at work, then when you come back home, you might have a good evening at home. And if you had a good evening at home, you might actually sleep well that night. How many of you some days have a problem going to sleep at night peacefully because you're thinking of all the things that happened during the day? Some days. Not all the days, some days. Then maybe you'd sleep peacefully at home. And you'd get up and then now when you've heard about this guy called Ken Blanchard? Okay. I had the privilege of attending his course recently in Bangalore. And he said something very interesting about the clock. It is again how you and me talk to ourselves. He said, why don't you call it an opportunity clock rather than call it an alarm clock? So next day morning, when the opportunity clock rings, you might have a conversation with yourself. Here's an opportunity to recover my health and go for that walk that morning. And then you'd have a nice breakfast, go to work, and then the cycle would go upwards, and then the reverberations would keep lingering on, or the cycle could go into what they call a downward spiral, and another kind of reverberation could happen into that. Okay? So the next level we have is work. And if finally you're able to manage all of this, then you could get to the next level, which is the planet contribution. But my personal experience has been most of us are so tied up with self, with family, and with work that we really don't have much of time to get into work, into the planet. So here's what we'll do. Get a partner you can talk to. Select a partner quickly. Quickly. Everybody should have one partner. It might happen that by some chance you might be in a group of 3. That's okay. You can be in a group of 3. You all got a partner? All right, very good. Okay, so we're going to do this very easily. There'll be one person A and another person called B. Okay? The person with the shorter hair will be A. Okay? No hair, you're definitely B. Okay? So, does everybody have a partner? You got a partner? Yeah, the 3 of you? Very good, very good. All right. So, here's what you're going to do first. You are going to talk. And the partner is going to do something very difficult. And all the partner is going to do is listen. Keeping their infinite wisdom and advice to themselves. I bet you have heard this before. Free advice is worth exactly what it costs. Nothing. If you want to give advice, charge for it. Okay? So, what's your job? First, you will first tell your partner one communication with yourself that you would like to improve. One statement of communication that you would like to improve. Then you will tell your partner one person amongst your family or friends with whom you would like to improve your communication with. One person will begin, but make sure that that one person is the critical one person, not the auto rickshaw driver. Okay, even though they are quite critical at some times, okay, but a critical person in your life. Then you will go down to the next level. You will look at one person in your organization or in the work that you do, that if you improved your communication and relationship with that one person, then your life will get much better. Okay? And if after all of that, you have the courage to look at one area in planet Earth where you would like to change something, say that also to the partner. Partner, your job is to listen. So if somebody turns to you and says, I'd like to improve my relationship with my wife, don't look at them and say, meet me at lunchtime. I am an expert on wife relationship. I'll tell you how now. Just keep your infinite wisdom and knowledge and advice to yourself and listen to the other person. Okay? Yeah, question. How much? Oh, sorry. How much time? 35 minutes is done. Very nice. Okay? So, can you just start doing this? I'll give 2 minutes per person. I will time this. At the end of 1 minute and 30 seconds, I'll tell you 30 seconds more. At 30 seconds, I'll say stop. And then B will start. Another thing, okay? When people say, I'd like to improve my relationship with my husband. And don't turn around to them and say, husbands are impossible. You will never be able to manage it. If you cannot say something positive, at least say something neutral. Okay? At least something neutral. The other part I'm not even going to say. All right? Ready? Is start. Get a partner there. The gentleman behind you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he can be a partner too. Yeah. 30 seconds more. All right, okay. B start. B start.